Today, the name on everyone's lips in the combat sports world is Francis Ngannou. Think about this. The guy steps up to the plate, not in his early 20s, not even in his 30s, but at 37 years old. Many fighters are considering retirement plans by that age, not gearing up for their biggest challenges. And he didn't just step into the ring, he did something most thought impossible. Knocking out Tyson Fury, the greatest heavyweight champion of our time. Before the fight, many speculated Ngannou was just in it for the paycheck. But here's the kicker. If you knew Ngannou's story, you wouldn't be surprised. His life is a masterclass in facing the impossible and emerging victorious. If you doubted him even for a second that night, this video will make you think twice. But first, hit that subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 subs. In his hometown of Cameroon, Francis Ngannou could never have imagined anything other than becoming a boxer. When he shared his dreams with friends and family, they scoffed, laughed, and called him crazy. Like many other fighters, Francis's early life was marred by poverty, but it was extreme poverty. Despite his mother's desire to provide him with a proper education, it was simply not possible. In Cameroon, education remained a privilege until just a few years ago. In his small town, there weren't many opportunities for young people. One option was to work in the sand mines, which he began doing to try to support his studies. However, as the years went by, the reality became even harsher. Ngannou grew tired of the life he was living. Surrounded by nothing but rocks, trucks, and hungry people, he refused to let this be his best option. He knew there had to be something more in store for his future. His father had a well-earned reputation as a street fighter, known as someone you didn't want to mess with. This reputation began to affect Francis, and people looked at young Francis and said, he's gonna be just like his father. He's gonna be violent. But he made the choice to be different, because that's what a man does. With that idea in mind, and a burning desire to become a boxer, as he admired Mike Tyson, Ngannou set his sights on a different path. At the age of 22, Francis Ngannou sold his only possession, a motorcycle, to buy boxing equipment and moved to a city where his boxing career could take off. By the time he turned 25, after saving up some money, he made the bold decision to leave Cameroon. He kept his plan a secret, telling only his sister, who he needed as a backup in case things went wrong on his journey. When he left Cameroon, he didn't have a precise destination in mind. All he knew was that he wanted to head north, away from Africa. Upon crossing the border, he faced the harsh reality of being a migrant. Francis had to quickly learn survival skills on the road, staying vigilant to avoid falling into the hands of criminals who might steal what little he had. It took him nearly a year to reach Morocco, the launching pad for his final journey to Europe. He slept in forests or wherever nightfall caught up with him and ate whatever he could find, even if it meant scavenging through garbage for food. Upon arriving in Morocco, he had to swim, using his hands as paddles to reach Spain. There, he was detained by the police for 2 months, but eventually managed to make his way to France. Once in France, his sole objective was to find a boxing gym. After wandering the streets for days and sleeping rough, an organization that helps migrants spotted him. Instead of offering him food, they asked if he was looking for work. When he arrived at the place where he would work, he was in for a pleasant surprise. Right next door was a training gym for fighters. Fate finally smiled upon him after all the struggles and difficult moments. The gym next to the Migrant Assistance Foundation was the MMA Factory, a renowned hub for mixed martial arts in France. Its director, Fernand Lopez, at first thought he was just like the others, talkative and full of promises. But when he saw Ngannou fight, he was utterly impressed. The owner of MMA Factory noticed not only Ngannou's talent, but also that he always carried 2 suitcases to the gym. When he asked about it, Ngannou revealed that he had nothing, was homeless, and couldn't even afford gym fees. Fernand decided to let him stay at the gym with the condition that Ngannou would give his all during training. Ngannou agreed, and they got to work. They initially identified Ngannou's strengths and realized that his power in striking was unlike anything they've seen before. And I'm not just talking about his punching power, but his overall striking ability. Fernand focused on refining Ngannou's striking, while teaching him the fundamental concepts and techniques of MMA, including takedowns and defense. After several months of intensive training and improved nutrition, Ngannou made his professional debut in France. Thanks to Fernand's connections, he signed with the 100% Fight promotion and had his debut on November 30th, 2013 against Rashid Benchina. One might have expected him to win with his powerful striking, but it wasn't just his punches. In just over a minute into the fight, Ngannou submitted his opponent with an armbar after adjusting the bones in his skull multiple times with his strikes. His success was immediate. His powerful punches not only catapulted his career, but also helped resolve his legal issues. In 2015, just 2 years after his debut, he inked a contract with the UFC. At the outset, he earned €2,000 for his first 2 fights. Fast forward a year, and he was raking in nearly $100,000. Ngannou may not have been the initial favorite to seize the UFC heavyweight title, but 3 years later, on March 28, 2021, he got his chance at redemption against Miocic. In the blink of an eye, he knocked out the American in the second round of the headline bout at UFC 260 in Las Vegas, etching his name in history as the UFC heavyweight champion. In the world of MMA, he's battled in a total of 20 fights, securing victory in 17 and suffering only 3 losses. In his UFC career, he captured the heavyweight title and successfully defended it once in a thrilling clash against Cyril Gane in January 2022. However, on January 14, 2023, the UFC Heavyweight Championship was stripped from Ngannou after he and the UFC failed to reach an agreement on a new contract. Ngannou's contract had expired in December. Ngannou had requested health insurance, the ability for all UFC fighters to have sponsorships, and a fighter advocate during contract talks, but his requests were denied. In response, Ngannou chose not to renew his contract with the UFC. This decision did not sit well with Dana White, who declared that Ngannou would never step into the UFC octagon again. Since leaving the UFC, Ngannou didn't shy away from voicing his lifelong dream to step into the world of boxing. So earlier this year, Ngannou inked a deal with the Professional Fighters League. And then it happened. Ngannou secured a bout that nobody thought possible, a showdown with boxing's reigning heavyweight champion, aptly dubbed the Battle of the Baddest. In October 2023, he finally made his long-awaited boxing debut against none other than Tyson Fury, the reigning heavyweight champ. This move didn't sit well with Dana White, who had previously stated that fights between MMA fighters and boxers didn't make sense. Yet again, Ngannou proved him wrong. Despite losing the fight, he showed he could compete at a high level in a different combat sport. Francis Ngannou came close to making history with a stunning knockout. The historic moment almost came in the 3rd round of the explosive battle between the heavyweight champions. Tyson launched a combination at Ngannou. His left jab damaged Ngannou's face. However, when he threw a right hook, the punch hit Ngannou's chest, leaving his guard open. Ngannou capitalized on Fury's mistake and sent him to the canvas with a powerful left hook to the ear. Fury fell like a sack of potatoes, sitting on the mat with a completely lost look. Tyson was truly hurt by Francis Ngannou's fists, a moment that could have rewritten history, making a champion fall in his boxing debut, but the outcome just didn't sit right with anyone. The judges handed Tyson Fury a split decision victory, 94-95, 96-93, 95-94. No one bought into that decision, and social media erupted in outrage over the injustice done to Ngannou. From LeBron James to Ryan Garcia, Canelo Alvarez, Jake Paul, and Mike Tyson, everyone agreed on one thing: it was a robbery. However, let's not lose sight of the real story here. While Fury may have the win in his record, the true winner of the night was Francis Ngannou. Fury struggled against an MMA fighter who, not only at 37 years old, but was making his first professional boxing debut. On the other hand, Ngannou not only secured a huge payday, but also the fight everyone said he couldn't have. What's more, he outperformed everyone's expectations. Ngannou has been doubted his entire life, but after that Saturday night, perhaps people will truly believe in him. One day, people will stop doubting Ngannou, the man who escaped poverty in his native Cameroon, overcame time spent in a Spanish prison, and homelessness on the streets of Paris to achieve athletic glory. Perhaps that day was on October 28th, after one of the most remarkable performances in the history of combat sports. There is absolutely no room for doubt when it comes to Ngannou's prowess. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more.